Hello, welcome to the Winning Balance. Today I am met with one of my buddies, my good friend Cameron Lam, the passive income golfer, freaking stud. Okay, so real quick, how Cameron and I met was first an e-meet over Instagram. You probably had no idea who I was. I was just this random guy. I moved from Seattle, and the first thing in my mind when I moved from Seattle was I got to get to know the players. And so I went on social media and was Instagram, Facebook, whatever, who does deals in Utah. And Cameron's name popped up. I DM'd you, I think.
Yeah, it's been a while, right?
Yeah.
2 years?
2.5, yeah, almost 3 years. And nothing really came of it. I mean, we followed each other, but never met in person. And then I met you at an event, 2 months ago?
Yeah.
3 months ago?
Yeah, so like my first event in a long time.
Yeah, you came out of the woodwork.
Yeah, I did.
I'm glad you did, dude. And then I joined Riverside Country Club recently, and good old Cameron.
Great choice.
Dude, Cameron is literally the best golfer I've ever golfed with. What is it? What's your handicap?
I don't know, like a +3.
+3. That's insane, dude.
Probably right now I'm like a scratch. I haven't played all winter, so. You saw some wayward shots yesterday.
Oh my gosh, dude. No. You saw some wayward shots. That's what happened. But anyways, dude, I want to golf with you as much as I can because I need to get freaking better. So we've had the opportunity to golf a couple times at Riverside. But one thing I've looked up to you, Cameron, is your journey about real estate, which I want to dive further into. Part of this podcast, like we talked about, I like interviewing studs, entrepreneurs, business owners that have found a way to make family still a priority. Now, like we discussed before recording, that's like no one's ever perfect, right? And like I understand that. But I mean, you retired at a young age. You're out of that now. So I'm ruining the surprise, but I start from the beginning. You started an Airbnb. You're still heavily involved in Airbnb.
Yeah.
How did you get involved in it? Start at the very beginning of your career. I'd love to hear the journey.
Yeah. So the journey started probably just as most people, like out of college. So I got a corporate gig. I was working actually at Intel in finance. So I was making a whopping $55,000 a year out in Chandler, Arizona, going to the office. And I quickly soon realized probably like a year or two in that I was not built for like a desk job. And so, just like a lot of entrepreneurs trying to figure out like, how can I like escape this eventually? How do I build passive income, which is why my Instagram handle is passive income golfer. That was always sort of the goal. And so I started in real estate. So started in 2017, which was like the perfect time. End of 2017, I bought my first house. And it was a different time, right? So like people will laugh at the prices, but I bought my first house in Gilbert, Arizona, $300,000, 5-bedroom house, 2,400 square feet, right? It's a smoking deal. And then I house hacked, so I had roommates. So they were basically covering my mortgage. I was making a little bit. And then how I got into scaling to more properties is actually my now wife, Ashley, we were engaged and I tried to convince her to live in my master bedroom with me. And I was like, Hunter, Larry, like, we'll have all the roommates with us. And she's like, no, we're not doing that. And that ended up being like a great segue into like us having to buy like our second house. So barely qualified for that second house, but they used the rental income from the first house to cash flow me for the second one. And that first house, gosh, I think my mortgage was $1,300. I know it's like laughable now. But I was bringing in like $2,500. Renting by the room, right? So we were making like $1,200 a month, and my after take home pay at Intel was probably like $3,000, right, at the end of the month. And I was like, gosh, this is like significant. So I kind of had the light bulb go off, and I was like, man, if we do this a few more times, I could probably just replace my day job income. So that was the original goal, right? Like, let's get to $5,000 a month passive cash flow. I'll say passive, right? It was semi-passive, and definitely not passive in the beginning. So partner with my brother on a few. Pretty much I found the deals. He was the capital. We made this structure up where I would basically pay him back like If he put in like 60,000 to get the house, I'd pay him back 30,000 out of my portion of the cash flow. And that worked out really well. And we did that, 3 or 4 more times. And then I moved again with my wife after a year. So after about a year, I think we had 8 homes, and we basically had reached that like $5,000 a month, goal. And then just to like all serial entrepreneurs, it's like then the bar moves and the goalposts go they go further out. And so the next goal was like, all right, well, 5,000 is great, but like, let's get to 10. And so I made a post about this on Bigger Pockets at the time. And honestly, me getting started in real estate was just off Brandon Turner's book. So tell him thank you when you see him in person. For sure. It was like that rental real estate property investing book. I only read that book, then I dived right in. So made a post about, getting to $5,000 a month cash flow on Bigger Pockets, and then had a bunch of people reach out on the forums. I think it got like 100,000 views for like a forum post, which is a lot.
Yeah,
right?
for sure.
So everyone was like hitting me up like, hey, I'd love to like invest with you or do the same deal you've done with your brother. So that's kind of basically what we did. So I grabbed a few partners, just people I'd never met off Bigger Pockets.
Jeez. And
we did deals together. And I think we scaled to like 15 properties over the next, year, 18 months.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Wait, so were you doing Airbnb at this point, or was this all rent by room?
A lot of them were long-term rentals, rent by room. That's sort of like my model, because I didn't really know about Airbnb. We started Airbnb actually like 2019, like January 2019, and we were living at our. We had moved a couple times, and I asked Ashley, I was like, hey, my friend does an Airbnb like in his house, and he's like, people come in like a true like bed and breakfast, and they come through the front door, and he rents out like a room, and the going rate for a room in Arizona to students and young professionals was renting, it was like $500, $800 a month, and he was renting it for like $1,500, and I was like, no way. And so she didn't want to have people come into the house. And so the way our house was situated was like the front door was on a main street, and then we would always enter from the garage. And so we had a room with the bathroom and the front door. I was like, why don't we just like close it off? So I remember we did this like really ghetto close off. We closed it off with a farmhouse door, and you could hear everything. So like people would come in, like guests would come in, and you could hear them come in like, oh, like this is a nice place, right? Like everything's echoing, and we'd like tiptoe upstairs, right? But we did this experiment, and like the first month we rented it out was like $1,200. And then the second month was like $1,800, then $2,200. And I was like, holy crap, like Airbnb is a thing. So that's where the light bulb kind of went off for me for Airbnb. And we had already built up like a decent portfolio at the time. So then we kind of went all in on Airbnb.
Just converted them all.
Yeah, we converted a lot of them. And then my income at the time was pretty high. I also I think it was like sort of COVID era. I was double dipping. So sorry to any of my previous employers who ever watched this. I was definitely double dipping at the time. I had 2 W-2 income jobs. I had a high rental income, and I took down another, long story short, over the next couple of years, another 15 properties by myself. So that's where we're at now. Today is the 30 properties, most of them Airbnbs, some long-term rentals, and that's sort of the investing journey. Good for you, dude.
And where did you meet your wife? I'd love to hear that side.
We met at a church camp out. So it was like, they do these like singles camp out, sort of like mixer retreats. And my roommate at the time like convinced me that I needed to go. And it was like 3 hours away out in some like random town in Arizona. I was like, I don't want to do this. He's like, you need to go. And it was like pouring rain. I was like, all right, fine. So we made the journey, and I went, and we got to like our cabin place, and it was separated, like girls on one side of the retreat area and then guys on the other in like their own cabins. And we got in, and my wife and her friends were like in the cabin, and they just got lost, but it was like pouring rain. They're like, hey, can we just stay here tonight? And I was like, yeah, sure. Like, I kind of eyed her the whole time. So
perfect.
Yeah, that's how we met.
I love it, dude. Okay. So Cameron, you built this beautiful portfolio, 30 units. Then you decided, I'm going to retire. I'm going to go into golf. I have enough monthly income. I can live my life how I want. Talk to me through that side of things. Like how old were you when you made that decision?
I was 33 and when we built up the portfolio, it was like finding deals and you know how that is, rehabbing, refinancing, and working 2 W-2 jobs. It was like an insane time in my life. And I would say I probably got burnt out, and the whole goal of this was like originally it was the $5,000 a month and 10,000, right? And then we reached, I don't know what it was, like 30 or 40,000 a month, and I was like kind of like, why am I still working? So made the decision to, the cash flow is definitely more than enough to support the family. And like, it was always the goal to have like, you read those Reddit forums, like Fat Fire. I always wanted to like achieve Fat Fire or FIRE, the FIRE movement, financial independence, retire early. So I did that. And I thought I was just going to, golf and try and like become a pro golfer. And so literally for 2.5 years, I was just golfing every day. And we had a couple kids during that time. And so it was an amazing time, like just being able to be at home with the family, really like raise my kids, to take them everywhere, be very present at home. It's interesting. I think it's a unique experience retiring that early though, because I would find that the first 6 months were great. I started to exercise again. I played too many video games, golfed a lot. But I found after a bit of time, just being wired as an entrepreneur, like it's always this goal of everyone to like retire.
Yeah.
It wasn't everything that I thought it was going to be. It kind of started to feel a little almost like aimless, and like it was hard to connect with people. I'd go to the golf course.
Being 33 and retired, just chilling.
Yeah, right. Like, because your whole identity is based off of like what you do, right? Like real estate, and you don't really ever want to tell people you're retired too, because that's just not really like, especially if you're that young.
Yeah.
So the people I could connect with, maybe in the retirement sense, were like the 60-year-olds at the golf course, but we don't have nothing else in common. And all my other buddies, are working and they're raising their families, and so it's just a really weird spot to be in. Yeah, pretty much after that 2.5 years, I had this startup idea, and now I'm back in the working game, but just with a lot, I think, wiser vision on like why I like doing it, and I think I'm much more happy and satisfied like working and having a little bit of crazy scheduling and stuff in my life, but like we said before, like times and seasons for everything.
For sure. And I love that. And I want to dive deeper into this new endeavor because I think it's amazing. Like just hearing how soon it's blown up to where it is amazing. But yeah, and that's one note I'll say, Cam, is it's funny when I first got involved in real estate, and I'm reading I'm listening to Bigger Pockets. I read Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I'm motivated. And my goal, like I've said this so many times, I want to be able to have the choice to not work by the time my first kid is in T-ball. Like that, whatever that meant for me, that's what I wanted, right? And now looking back at it, it's like, I don't want that anymore. Like I am so motivated by improving, like my entrepreneur brain. I know you talked about like retirement. I think my entrepreneur brain is like, how far can I push my potential? And it's a blessing and a curse, right? Like I feel like I can be a better dad, a better husband when I am fulfilling my purpose in my career and I feel motivated. But that's just me. I know that's like a tangent, but it's interesting to say that because now you retired for 2.5 years, and then I'd say you are like the farthest thing from retired now, right?
Yeah,
like,
it's like crazy.
You're deep in it. So talk to me about that. Like where'd that idea come?
Yeah.
I mean, just to highlight, you guys raised money. You guys are a multi-million-dollar company already. Like talk to me about the start. How did this idea get born? And I'd love to hear the journey.
Yeah. to your other point, I mean, I talked to Alex Bean from Divvy about this. Like he had a massive exit there, and like a lot of tech entrepreneurs or people who have passive income, it's like, how do you deal with like having all this free time? And we talked about, you know, the need. There's really like a need as humans. Like we're meant to create. We're meant to like build and be active. And so I think like the biggest advice I could give anyone if they're ever going to make that decision, obviously depends on like the age you're at. But if you're like doing early retirement, just have a plan. If you're going to travel, if you're going to pursue something, have some goals. But yeah, switching back to kind of where we're at now today, because I'm the farthest from retirement.
Yeah.
It feels like the biggest I've ever been. I came up with this idea for DoorDash for trash. It's going to sound dumb, but basically we take your trash can to and from the curb, but we do it gig economy style like DoorDash. And it was a big need for me in my own personal homes. I was using a service at the time, a local service in Scottsdale. It just wasn't like, they were just missing. And then I would have to like call my handyman and pay him $150. And then I was like, all right, well, let me see if I can coordinate with my cleaners. And then like the cleaners were 20 minutes away, and then it would take them, they'd have to go 8 times a month or 16 times a month because recycle is a separate day. So then I'd have to pay them a few $100. And I was like, all right, that doesn't make financial sense. And then try asking the guests to do it. Like most guests will, but if they forget, once again, I'm paying my handyman.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right, let me build a service company, but let me build it in a scalable way. So that's what we did. Brought on one of my good friends, Jordan, from BYU, and he's had some just really good success in some other exits. And we built it, and we joined this accelerator program last fall out here in Utah, sort of like Utah's version of Y Combinator. And they're like, all right, grow the thing. Let's see, it's working. So we grew from like 150K ARR to 300K ARR in 6 weeks. And then we ended up fundraising and we raised from some really amazing firms. And now that we built the infrastructure, I think we're on pace for 750 by the end of the month, and then maybe like 3 to 5 million by the end of the year. So it's kind of this whole new world for me, tech entrepreneurship, but it is crazy because right as we were doing the fundraise, and that takes a lot of time. If you've ever been in the tech world, like fundraising is it's a full-time job. Our fundraise came in 1 week before my third child was born. So I have got a 4-year-old, a 3-year-old, and a 0-year-old. And we fundraised, and we had to like build up all this infrastructure in the business. So it's a little crazy, and it's still a little crazy, just like balancing everything. So
how long have you guys been, like when did this idea get born? How long has it been now?
Yeah, I mean, I had the idea like when I was retired. Like this was end of 2023. I'd say we started it in like mid 2024. And so, yeah, it hasn't been that long. So
less than a year old, and you guys are almost at 750K ARR.
Yeah, it is. It's actually crazy.
Dude, that is insane.
Yeah, it's
good for you.
Thanks.
Good for you. That's wild. Okay, so I want to hear about this because in the entrepreneur space, like your wife is a big part of it no matter what. Like they're brought in. Like for me in my journey, I wanted to do the house hack, live in a duplex, and that didn't quite work for my relationship, right? And so what we did instead, my wife's an interior designer, my version of house hacking was live into a crappy house, we fix it up, and we sell it. And that worked beautifully, right? It complemented what she wanted, it complemented what I wanted. We rolled that cash into rentals, and that's how I got started, right? That's how we fit but you're talking about a whole different world where she's sacrificing a lot to save here, rent out a room in your house. Talk to me through that. Like, was she on board from the beginning? Was there, like, how did you encourage her on the dream, or was it already part of her?
Yeah, that's
like,
a great
goals?
question. I think like it's so different, right? Like, especially like investing, because I've met so many people who've like wanted to invest, but like convincing the other spouse to do it is like very tough, right? Because it's two people making the decision. I was lucky with my wife in the fact that we kind of already had a little bit of like proof in the pudding. When we got married, we bought our second house, and like she could see that there was cash flow from the first house, so she kind of already understood it. When I transitioned to Airbnb, though, it was like one of those like, oh, well, that seems like kind of risky. So, you know, I didn't know either, and I was like, hey, like I think including her in the process was really important. Like I asked her, I was like, hey, there's $4,000. Like, let's furnish this room and deck it out, like TV, and like do all the like nice stuff we need to do to make this thing like really pop off. So kind of like having her be a part of the process, helping me like manage the listing, like, and like feel ownership was like super important. And also like when we would do all these deals over time, she would look at the house with me, come to everything, like inspections. And like, she actually like, we're 10 years apart. And so like when we were doing this, she was like 19 or 20. And she knows all of the metrics, like cash on cash return, like ROI, really? Like return on equity. Like she knows all of it. And like people have no idea, especially back then when she was like 19 or 20, but she knew everything. And it was really funny because she just has a really good sense too on like whether the deal is going to be great or not. Because on paper is the most important thing probably, but then there's also those intangible factors you just don't know. And every time like I'd ask my wife, like, how do you feel about this one? If it was a no, we wouldn't do it. And if it was a yes, like it always was amazing. And there was a couple times where I didn't listen to her, and they're the worst deals.
Really?
Yeah. So I trust my wife completely. She just has the sixth sense.
Dude, that's amazing. That's sick. I think that's amazing that she's been ingrained in the process from the beginning. Like my wife, we complement each other really well, but she doesn't care to be too involved in the investment side. She supports me. She's everything that I need her to be for my endeavors, but like she doesn't really care to get involved in the investment side. So I think that's amazing that she's like cash on cash. If I tried to quiz my wife on that, she'd be like, what is that?
Yeah.
Well, that's funny. Okay. So talk to me now. You raised money, right? And as someone, I know a little bit about you, Cam, in that you're the frugal guy that sacrificed a lot to get to where you are, right? Like, would you agree with that?
Yeah. I mean, probably just like inherently the Asian culture, we're pretty cheap. So yeah.
Which is great. I mean, you had delayed gratification and now you're making $30K a month in passive income. Like you've made it by most everyone's dreams of financial freedom, right? For me, raising money has always been a scary endeavor because you almost are taking on new bosses, right? And as an entrepreneur, that scares me because I don't like having bosses. I don't like having to report to people. Talk to me about that. Was that an easy decision for you? Is it scary?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's really just like, it's definitely like personality dependent. But I mean, in real estate, you're always like taking money from like hard money or a partner or whatnot. So I kind of had like an intro into like, I wouldn't say I was really raising capital for real estate. It's like I took a partner on here and there, but I would always make it really clear, like, hey, like I'm the operations like guru, and then you'll just be silent. Like I really don't want, like, we don't want too many cooks in the kitchen. So I think I approached fundraising the same way, although it did change, right? Because I saw how I was able to scale the real estate, and that would not have been possible without my brother and these people from Bigger Pockets and whatnot, right? So even with this company, I was like, yeah, you know, I could own 100% of a company that's worth millions, or, you know, if I own like 30% of a company that's worth like hundreds of millions, like that's better and faster.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I mean, I think probably some of my previous experience in real estate helped me with the fundraise here. It's still a new world for me. I'm like a new tech entrepreneur. So just like learning all this, like, you know, at the seat of my pants, but trying to grab as many like good mentors as possible, and looking even to like some of these venture partners that I have who've been there, done that, who've helped sell companies, right? Like, how do you structure a business? Who are the right people to hire? Like, what does a ramp plan look like, right? Like, just all these things I don't know, right? Because like you want to learn from people who've done it before.
I think it's been super fun in my short conversations at Riverside, just how these, like I haven't had these type of conversations before, especially when most of the people there are super successful business owners, right? And I mean, the couple of times that we've golfed together, the conversations are wild. Like even yesterday,
Yeah.
My brain hasn't stopped thinking about that ever since. These two business partners rolled up insurance companies, and they told me, what did they say? They're like, if I were to start over, he even said it would be easy. You go roll up these small companies that PE, private equity, isn't after, and you roll those up and you could do exactly what we did. And I'm like, well, these guys are worth multi millions.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
he's telling me that would be easy. Like, what am I doing here?
Yeah.
But there's always the shiny object, of course. But that's been the coolest part about Riverside. But with that being said, dude, like, a question that I have for you, I've been always skittish to partner, and you've been like the opposite, right? Like you've been partnering since the beginning. Mm-hmm. I'd say in my most recent endeavor, where I'm like building a real estate team, a mini one, very, very small, because I don't want to babysit. It's been super fun, almost having like camaraderie. And even though I'm not partnered with them, we have that same purpose of like growing and building, and I'm helping them. But talk to me about like bringing in a friend in this business endeavor. Is that like in partnering in general, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's something that I'm scared of, but it seems intriguing. But then you also hear about the bad stories, right? The divorces and what that does to friendships, what that does to like your business.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I've had my fair share of like bad experiences as well. It just, I think at scale, it's just bound to happen. Partnering, I think the most important thing is if like upfront you're clear on like the expectations. And I'll talk about one of like the horror stories, if you will. Like I had a amazing house out in Mesa. It was like this multi-unit complex, had a really great partner. And then like for whatever reason, like, it just wasn't producing what we thought initially, and the rehab cost was higher. And then like he tried to like cut me out of the whole thing. Like, and here's the thing, this was really early on in my like real estate career. I didn't like make contracts. Right. So it's like, I'm a handshake guy, and I probably still am like that too much, although I've kind of learned since then. Uh-huh. And so pretty much I was like, all right, well, hey, thanks for your help. Here's 20,000, but like, I'm just taking over the property. And I was like, what are you talking about? So this was actually happening like when I was retired. Like I actually had to sue him. Yeah, it was crazy. So I had to sue him, and then pretty much we had all this documentation, even though I wasn't technically on title, of like, hey, I'm basically like your partner. Like we've said it in text, blah, blah, blah. We're 50-50. Like we've had all this like evidence, and long story short, it was like a couple years. And then like, I had people would like laugh, but like we made up, and it's like, all right, we're going to go back to what it was. And yeah, you never hear it like that. But
after a lawsuit,
Good
for you.
So we made up, that property we bought for $450,000 is probably worth like $1.5 million now.
Goodness.
And so.
And you're 50-50 now?
Yeah, we're 50-50, like just like before, and somehow saved it. And, that was a learning lesson to me. Like, hey, get everything in writing. So I do now.
Are you on title now?
I am.
Okay, good.
Yeah. So, but it's just one of those like things you learn, and it's like sometimes it's messy like that because you just don't know what you don't know. And this was like really early in my career when we bought the property. So, but yeah, I mean, working with family, friends also, I mean, you always hear those horror stories where like if it doesn't work, like, that there could be issues. And it's hard too, right? Because I don't think it's necessarily like always personality issues. It's like life circumstance issues, right? So like, you could have a relative who's needs the cash for whatever reason, and you don't know why, but then they want to sell the property, but you don't, right? So how do you handle those things? So I think it's like being very upfront and clear in the beginning, like, hey, if this happens and like you need to sell, like, is there a buyout clause? How do we handle like the breakup agreement? Because inevitably someone will want to sell, right? That's the whole point of the real estate. So how do you handle like when that happens?
Jeez. Yeah. And that's the part that I know, because it's hard, right? Because that's like, in order to scale, you're always going to need partners. You're always going to need someone's money if you want to scale it to a certain degree, right?
Yeah.
And I've been that slow burn, enjoying my freedom, but then always being that tadpole in these rooms of people that are like big sharks in my eyes. And every single one of those big sharks has raised money or taken on partners, right? And so talk to me though about this new endeavor. Like, because to me, that sounds like a dream, like having your friend in on a business and you guys are strategizing and building. Like, has it been fun? Has it been crazy? Like, talk to me about that.
Yeah, I mean, right now, so our leadership team, our CFO is like my best friend. He was one of my best men at my wedding. Our COO, Travis, he's one of my really good friends. I actually met him on Instagram too.
Really?
It is funny though, there's a little more healthy tension now that like he's super like he's really good at like leading big organizations. And so like I kind of work more on like the sales side right now. And so like there's a healthy tension on like, can we sell here, but can we operate here? But no, it's been great. Like I've loved personally bringing all my friends because I know for me, it's like, we are the type to like ride or die together, and like the business doesn't matter at the end of the day.
Yeah.
I can't say that about everyone and their friends and their situations, but for us, it's been great. But yeah, it's been a crazy journey right now. I mean, we scaled, it was just the four of us at the beginning. And then since we've taken on venture money, I think we've got like 18 people now. Like it's like 13 or 14 employees and like 4 or 5 contractors. So yeah, the business is primed for growth, but it's also this whole new thing where I'm learning like, okay, how do you manage people? And I've never managed people before. And like, I don't really feel like I'm the CEO type, but like now I'm like sort of thrust in this position and like heading all these departments. So like, it's a big learning experience. And that's why it's crazy at home. Cause it's like, got all the kids. My wife just gave birth a couple months ago. We're building up the business, all these employees, all these different departments and groups and infrastructure. So like, balancing everything has been interesting because it's such a 180 from what I was doing before.
Yeah. And I like, this is what is starting to excite me about potentially like down the road, whatever it might be, is partnering with my friends. And I mean, that very select few that I envision partnering with, where this relationship matters way more. If this business goes to zero, like we're still going to be friends, like, or if it goes to 100 million, there's never going to be an argument over who gets what, like,
yeah,
because our relationship is more important than money. Like there's a few people that it excites me, and like hearing your story, I mean, like it's like you guys are on the same sports team and you have the same goal, and it's, and then golfing yesterday, it's like these guys were besties. They grew this company. Now they can do whatever they want because they have enough money to do whatever they want.
Do another one.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
And they're still best friends. Like you can see how much I don't know about best friends, right? They could be, maybe not, but they joke with each other. Like they're still like great friends after they grew, built, sold this company. I'm like, I've been so focused on the negative side, but look at these guys. Like they're like good friends. Now they're just like on this country club, living their life, have enough money to do whatever they want.
Yeah.
Like, so it's cool to see like that side of the coin. But a question too for you, Cam, is, which you hit on the head, right? Or you had mentioned it. This is the craziest season of your life. Your wife just had a baby. Talk to me about how this goes on at home, right? And again, no one has the perfect recipe. No one has the perfect answer to this because it's hard. But how has that been? Like with this busiest season, your wife has a newborn at home. How do you even like time isn't always the answer, right? But how do you set expectations? How do you show your wife that you love her in this crazy, crazy time, right? Because postpartum, having a kid, like it's a crazy mix of emotions, right? For them, let alone what you're going through deep in the weeds of this business.
It's hard, man. I mean, I don't feel like I have a perfect answer, and I'm like learning as I go. And I think it's like a unique experience. I don't want to say unique experience because I know a lot of people like are feeling the same way, but I'm running the business, which is kind of on autopilot, the 30 rentals. But then like building this startup and then having 3 kids under age 4, like that's probably the craziest thing. And so like what's so hard is like when you're home, even if it's both of us, but especially if it's like one of you, like my 4-year-old and 3-year-old try to like jump on our like newborn, like could kill her. And like, so literally we're like half the time I'm home, I'm like pushing him away, right? Like so that she can survive, right? And like you can't even go to the bathroom because like you let the baby go, then they're gonna like do something, right? So that's been like crazy. For us right now, it's different too, just because we're still sort of figuring out the dynamic where I'm back in the office, because I haven't been back in the office since 2017. I was always working remote.
Yeah.
And then I was retired. And so I had all this time to help with the kids. So now it's gone from like, hey, there's both of us with the kids all the time, to now it's just my wife and I'm in the office. And being in the office is important for me because you're building the startup. You need to build the culture. But I think for me, what's been apparent, at least in the beginning, is when I started working in the office, and it was probably a part of the time and the season of even the startup. When you fundraise, you're on the phone literally from 8 a.m. to 9 p.m. You're just talking to investors, you're sharing pitch decks. It's crazy.
Gosh.
Right. And so I would come home, and it was probably good that this happened earlier, but I would come home and I would still be on the phone. And, we got all kids and it's crazy. You're trying to make dinner, but like I need to hold a baby, but I'm on the phone, so I can't hold the baby. Right. So, we quickly realized that like we had to make a deal after the fundraise. Like when I come home, I'm home.
Yeah.
And so that's really helped. And there's obviously like sometimes where it's like, hey, there's an emergency with an Airbnb, like the water heater doesn't work or whatever, right? Like you have to take care of it. But generally now what we've done is like, hey, 8 to 5. And I also help with the kids during the day and like take them to like daycare or whatnot. Like that's my time to like get all my stuff done, like everything with Airbnb, everything with Crew is the name of my business. Even if I want to work out or go play golf, which honestly I haven't had time to, I'm still trying to figure that out and squeeze it in where I can. But when I come home at 5, it's family time. And so that's helped us a ton because then my wife knows. And honestly, it's weird to say this. Like I would say it's even like better quality time with the family than like when I was retired. It's weird to say because I had so much time before where it's like I'm always with the kids. And you honestly get a little like burnt
it's like
out.
Diluted almost.
Yeah, I mean like shout out to all the moms who are with kids all the day. Like I don't know. I've lived it. I don't know how you do that. Like forever, right? But now it's like, hey, I'm home and I'm home. And I think what's also helped too is, it's gonna sound terrible to say this, but like right now, if something is not on my calendar, it like doesn't get done.
Yeah.
So if I don't have you like on this podcast on the calendar, or we don't set up a meet for whatever, like it doesn't exist.
For sure.
And so now it's even like putting like, hey, the date night is on the calendar, or this 1 hour time window is on the calendar with me and my wife.
Yeah.
And we have someone watch the kids or whatever, right? Like I feel like that's so important. We're like, because we're wired as entrepreneurs, like schedule the time, and it sounds weird, but you schedule the time and you can hyper focus on the time, and the quality is high. Like I think it's a life hack. Like put your family on the calendar.
No, 100%. I do that too. Like I divvy my calendar, I color code it. Yellow is like me and like energy giving, right? And energy giving is going to the gym for my wellness, spending time with my family, and those are color coded in yellow. And I put intentional time, all caps, intentional, with wife and Gigi, my little 5-month-old, because exactly right. Like if it's not on the calendar, it doesn't get done. And the present side, like that's, as an entrepreneur, I can't stress that enough. And this, like you can spend time with family, but if you're not there, like if your brain's somewhere, it's worse. Yeah. Yeah. And so that's been the hardest part for me, because like my phone, I don't have set work hours. If I have deadlines, I have a deadline and it has to get done. Right. And so that's been the hard part for me, is like, I can't set like 6 to 9 every day and just like forget everything.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's a Tuesday at 11 a.m. I'm giving 2 hours with my wife and my kid because I have a gap there. Right.
Yeah.
So it's been crazy, but I love what you said, just being the intentional, and a lot harder said than done. Right?
Because it's hard because like when you're at home and you're like not paying like good attention, but you're not there. Like you almost can get into like fights with your spouse because you're not paying attention.
Yeah.
Right. And you'd rather have like 1 hour of like really quality time than like 4 hours of just like meh. Yeah. And it's the same thing too. Like I'm working at home and the kids are kind of like there and I'm like trying to help out, but I'm also trying to do work. Like the work's not getting done right either.
No.
So it's like, it's almost better. Like let me do like 5 hours of solid work and then like go to family time and have it be really solid, you know?
Yeah. 20% of work and 20% like as a present dad, like doesn't equal 100%. Right.
Yeah.
So like,
so true.
And that's the journey, right? It's like, it's never going to be perfect, but it's trying to get closer and closer. Like the more entrepreneurs I talk to, it's like, whatever you're doing, be there. And like, especially I have ADD. And so it's like, I joke where my brain has like 40 factory workers and they're always like, do this, do that, do that. And I have to like freaking calm them down. Right. But that's been, especially having a kid, like I've said forever that my family is my priority, like over like what I'm doing in business is for my family. And once it becomes reality, it's time to check yourself. Right. And that's been the harder, like, okay, now it's here. I've been going like face first for so long in this business success world. And now do I pull back? Do I adjust? Do I change? And so it's been fun, but it's a journey.
I think too, it's like introspection on like what do you really want? Like, and then like what's too much? Cause like, I mean, before, like I didn't need to start this business. Like we're fine. But like, honestly, even part of like my own well-being, like I said before, like I almost felt that like loss of purpose. Not that my family didn't matter, but it's like, you still need to be doing something, like building something.
Yeah.
And so like, I almost feel like the business is for me to be building, but then like, when does it become too much? Right. So like balancing, like finding that sense of purpose, building, being active, like engaged and feeling like productive, but then also making sure that it's not just taking over your life. And like we said before, there's seasons where it's like absolutely crazy. You're not going to see your wife or kids and you're getting home at 8 and having calls till 9 because that's the season in the business, but make sure that doesn't extend for too long.
Yeah. Have you felt a difference when you were retired versus being in the, like, and how you hold yourself? Like, do you feel more confident? Do you feel like, whatever the answer is, how do you feel differently as being retired versus being in a 60, 80 hour work week, whatever it is now?
Yeah, gosh, they're so polar opposites. I'm so much more excited to like get the day started now because there's like a purpose.
Yeah.
And I'm building and like there's camaraderie, like the team is all going to like one shared vision. We're working on systems, operations, like all these cool things that I've never had worked in a tech startup. Mm-hmm. Before, retiring was great, and I was not stressed like hardly ever.
Yeah.
But then also you almost like sort of atrophy. It's like not going to the gym for a while and like you atrophy in all these different aspects of your life. And then even like, it was weird. Like you talk to people, well, what do you do? I'm like, I golf I don't know what I do. Yeah. Like, right. I golf every day. I have real estate, right? Like it is really weird place to be in. If you're a big traveler, and I hate traveling, so that probably like didn't help the retirement thing. Yeah. Like, and we did a lot of travel, but like my wife loves to travel, but like if you're going to retire,
you just followed.
Yeah. Plan your travel, plan a hobby, like become really good at something. Like you're going to have to fill your time.
Yeah.
You're going to have to fill your time, whether that's like with kids or like working towards something, becoming really good at a certain sport, pickleball, I don't care, join a league, but unless you're 50 or 60, if you retire early, is a really weird spot to be in. And it was hard for me too. Like I couldn't relate to a lot of peers. I didn't have anyone in my network really that was sort of in the same situation as me.
So what advice would you give, Cam? Because you got to a phase of life sooner than like 99% of the world that people are striving for every day and they don't quite know how, right? And I always talk on this podcast about this demographic in Utah that's, I feel like, pretty rare. We have these young hustlers that want a family life, except like you can go to New York, Manhattan, and the young hustlers there, but maybe the family.
Yeah, no family.
Yeah, exactly, right? Whereas Utah, I feel like, is a unique place. They have these young hustlers that want to like create wealth, but family is still important to them, right? Like, what advice would you have to those group of people?
Like the ones who are still actively like working and like trying to build all their businesses.
Yeah, the young hustlers that still want a family, right? Like what direction would you give? And maybe you can do that in a 2-part question. Like, what advice do you have them to build wealth? And what advice do you have to retain family relationships alongside that?
Yeah, I mean, I think the most important thing that's worked for us, and everyone's different, is as you're building, set the time apart and like physically write it in your calendar for your family. Because when they know that there's quality time and they feel loved, and depending on their love language, then that frees you up to be able to build the business without feeling guilty. Because there's that like the dad guilt, there's the husband guilt of, you're building this business and yes, it's for the family, but a lot of it's for your ego.
Yeah.
Right. Or for your own, I don't know, psychopath, tendency to want to just build, right? And that's how we're wired.
Competitive.
And I think, competitive entrepreneurs, they understand what we're talking about. Yeah. But just put it in. And then once that's in, like take care of the most important stuff first. It's like that analogy where you have like those, like, you've seen the one with like the bucket and you put the rocks in. If you put the rocks in first, the big rocks, and then you fill it in with like all like the smaller rocks, then the pebbles, then the sand, then the water, it all fits. But if you do it in the opposite direction, the big rocks don't fit.
Yeah.
I think that's the most important thing. Like put those first, and it doesn't have to be all day. It just has to be quality.
Yeah.
And then once that's done, then you're freed up to do all the other stuff.
I love what you said too. 'Cause I mean, that's where my brain used to go, is I have to spend 3 hours a day to make my wife feel loved. But you talked about the love language side. If you can figure out what your wife needs, you can get 20 minutes of making her feel special. And that can do much more than what 4 hours of just sitting on the couch and pretending like you are being intentional, right? And
you're watching a movie, but you're answering business messages the whole time, right? Instead of actually being with her, right? Yeah.
So I love it. Well, thank you so much for coming out, Cam. I appreciate it. We'll be golfing much more if you're patient enough for me. But I appreciate you coming out, dude.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Of course, dude.